Agreed. So.
The one thing about the election that I did want to talk about, because I don't know what this might mean for us, was one of those.
Yes.
The budget committee.
Citizen petition. Yeah.
Citizens petition.
What number is that?
22.
And that passed.
That
right?
passed.
Yeah, it
Most
did
people
pass,
wanted
yes.
that to be not advisory. So obviously that doesn't actually change anything. It was an advisory only. But if that is something that the people are interested in,
I think that requires more research.
yes, I was going to say,
So
because
there
I agree
needs
with
an
that.
amendment to the town charter.
Correct.
Which
Right.
it was not. You can't just amend the municipal code and change that. You need a town charter amendment to change that.
It needs more than that.
Right, and if they-
But-
an RSA.
Yeah.
And
Well,
if they just
the
saying-
RSA allows us to make the charter amendment, which means well, does this mean like should we as a committee push the town council to go forward on a charter amendment to make the town budget committee? I mean, we got to
Right, I
amend
think-
our charter and the school charter.
I think this stemmed from some feelings, not this budget season, but the one before, that budget committee didn't have any teeth, and budget committee things weren't, our advice didn't seem to be being
Yeah.
taken in the discussions about the budget, and as they're building these things and they're deciding what the warrant articles are and how they're going to handle things, we were saying things that didn't seem to get as many responses as possible.
Okay.
And so even myself at one meeting, I was like, look, you asked us to look at this budget and come in and find places to cut.
Yeah.
We came with a list of 18 things. You said no to all of them. What are we doing here?
Right.
And so those statements on my part, and I think, that impression in general, might have led to this. I don't know that this is the right move. I know that this passed, it's advisory only, but I think if it wasn't advisory only, I'm not sure that this is the way we should be going. Again, it's not up to me, but I do feel like we were very involved in the process this last year. And when things were discussed and they were deciding, hey, should we, for example, use money from the undesignated fund, or do we want to do the 4 firefighters?
Yeah.
The town council turned to budget committee and be like, what are your thoughts? And everybody kind of weighed in, and it wasn't official, but John almost like took a vote on those things before they said, okay, yeah, we want to try this warrant article for 4 firefighters.
Because
We want
I
to try
gotta
this
agree
warrant
with you
article for
on
prosecutor.
that. Like this year, we were listened to on both the town and the school side, and they were very receptive to us. Our recommendations they took very seriously.
Right, even the fact that the kindergarten
And
got
having-
turned into 2 warrant articles, like that was
They asked
in
us
part
yeah.
us pushing for
Yeah,
that.
and
Yeah.
having
And more transparency too. I'm
Us.
very happy for that.
Yes.
They
Yep.
did listen.
Yes.
I'm so happy with that.
Yep.
but having us do the default budget for the town, and then we're going to turn over new for the school next, because
Right, I don't
the
personally.
townsfolk will get confused on why is the budget committee doing it just for the town but not for the school,
Yeah.
and that leads
Right, and my understanding of the default budget from Justin is that
The budget is
Everything's
it
baked
is what
in
it
there.
is, right? It's
Yeah.
all baked in. It's like
Right.
it's basically all things that have already been voted on
Yeah.
that have to happen, plus whatever we spent last year normally.
yeah.
So I don't feel qualified to make that budget, even though it's, as we say, already kind of baked in. I'm not sure that that's the right role for us. We have Justin and Lisa McKinney with their expertise to do that. I don't feel like there's any disservice being done by them creating the default budget. And if there was, we see these budgets and get to speak up about it.
Yeah.
So I don't see where that gains us anything. Do you?
I think my only comment about that is maybe having the power when we were having those library discussions and they weren't listening to us.
Huh.
That's where we could have actual influence. Say no, this is enough. That's enough, right?
Well, I mean that would.
Right.
I mean we
That's
would
the only
probably
thing I
need.
can think of.
That's. I mean the biggest issue with that is because the library is considered a third branch of government.
right.
Yes.
We would have to amend our charter to reel them in.
Have a role
Yeah.
there.
Yes.
And right? That's going to be the only way, like reel them into the
Because
town.
even if we were able to
But-
do that,
And they did
I
make
will
changes
say that.
in response to
Yeah.
the things
Yeah.
we had to say.
yes,
They
Eventually,
didn't do
yes.
what
Yeah.
we necessarily what we wanted with,
Right. It's their
but
budget.
but they still made cuts that made up for it,
Yeah.
which
Agreed.
was
Yeah.
Agreed.
Which
That's
was-
what we were
and
asking
they
for.
and the, as far as the merit increases go, that's what we were really asking about because I think you guys are both here for this, Jason and Kate. But if I remember correctly, the library employees get a 3% cola and a up to 5% merit, which is a little higher than what the other non-union town employees
Right.
are eligible for.
yeah.
And so we asked them to take a look at that and see if that 5% number could come down. And they said, they didn't say no, they just couldn't do it then in whatever month that was,
Right.
right at the end of budget season. So I think hopefully we'll see some movement on that this coming budget season.
Yeah.
And we can ask those questions sooner now that we found that. And that's really the thing is, we get the budget books and we have to find things,
Yep.
which is sometimes difficult to do. I thought we did a good job of that this past year. When we sat, kind of had a round table and came up with our list of questions, that I thought that was solid. Because that was something I didn't find. I think Ryan and Maureen found that. So like that was good. Digging into the books is not easy.
Yep.
So yeah, I interrupted you. I got you guys about 22. What were you saying about the advisory thing? Oh, you were saying
That's
that.
the only thing that I could think of, like that
Yeah.
gives us direct power, but that's about it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And my concern with that, even with especially if it's like the library aspect of it too, is that the way it would be presented on a warrant article would be town budget committee recommended budget is X, and they wouldn't see where that money is coming from. It would just be one total.
You mean if we made the
Essentially-
default budget?
No. If there were like a budget committee, I think that the spirit of the article was that you would see the default budget, you would see the town council budget,
No.
or no.
So it would be like a town budget and then a default budget set by us.
Oh, okay.
So that was
Okay.
the spirit because you can't have. So in talking with the author of that warrant article, that person went to DRA
Yep.
to ask them about that and said that.
And I guess some towns do it this way.
Oh yeah, like Salem, like down in Salem, I know that's how they do it. Budget committee sets default, and then town council sets their own. Like that's, and the same thing with their schools. They got budget committee that sets school budget, and then school board sets their own. I mean,
Okay.
some towns they work that way. Our town we've worked this way. That's just. I mean, I feel that when we talk to at least this past budget season, when we go to town council and school board, they listen.
Yep.
I could see like if it came to a point in like years from now where that wasn't the case, where they just ignored us and say, oh, whatever, budget committee, whatever.
Yeah, then we could be
Yeah.
pushing.
Then we can push for that. But right now, where they're listening,
And I think
we should let them know that we're going to be
Yep.
partners, but we're going to make us think about it. We're going to talk about it at our meetings.
Yep.
We're going to bring this up over and over again at your meetings when we're together. So
if it came to that.
yeah, if it came to that. But right now, they're willing partners.
And I think either way, we should touch base with Mike and find out what this means, if anything, right now. I don't think it means anything right now because it's just advisory, and we added that that was added at the town deliberative. But I think it merits a conversation. Anyway.
The last thing I want to say on that is if people are thinking about this, and that's what it's done in other towns, I would like to also think about, again, if this is something that people are very much, I'm not super interested in that, mostly because one, what would the additional workload look like for us if we're creating the default budgets?
Agreed.
And two, if there is an additional workload on that, I think budget committee then should become a paid position. And that's something that
And there's
people
been
could
discussions
consider.
about that in the past, and the
Yeah.
problem, to my understanding, is that if they decide to make budget committee paid, whatever, $500 or whatever the heck it is, then there's an argument that the planning board and every
Yep.
other board should have something similar. So I don't know how that would all
Right,
play out.
exactly.
I'm not suggesting that.
Yeah,
But I see your
same.
point that if the workload increases and now we're having to spend, whatever, 10 hours a month working building the default budget,
Yeah,
that's a different ballgame.
yes.
And that would be charter commission and 2 separate elections for that.
Yeah, it would
Yes.
take a lot for that to happen. So, okay, so
I have a
go ahead.
quick comment. Yeah, I just think that my 2 cents is that It's not necessary. You can go fight your battle at deliberative. You said that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I don't think that necessarily moving in that direction would be productive necessarily, because we're able to be productive anyways.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I don't think that if it was to happen, it's necessarily giving that powers to this committee.
Yep.
I think it's a new committee. At least that's the way I read it.
Mhm.
So go fight your election battles again.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
thank you.
Yeah,
Whew. Once every 3 years is enough, thanks.
Yeah. And I think that if the town wants to look at those amendments, citizen petition articles, and say, okay, we should be doing a charter revision or whatever. I don't know how that all works. That's a conversation, for another day
Yeah.
with a lot of other people, I'm sure. And I'm not suggesting that either. But
I felt like deliberative was really productive.
cool.
Yeah.
I thought it was good.
Yeah.